A video you might actually have some knowledge on? What? you know about the AI? Here, actually, I can pull it up, because if it is that's not what I wanted. If it is just a stream highlight thing, thinking about it, we might run it through anyways, but also I want to pull it up on my own, because I don't know how the domain identifies. I also have that same article, because Banana sent it to me at some point. You hate the internet space when it comes to this stuff? I don't know exactly what you mean by this stuff if you're talking about AI, but because I briefly looked over this before, because this is the same, yeah. The school's using AI emulation of Anne Frank that urges kids not to blame anyone from the Holocaust. This is as much as I remember seeing. This is the headline that I read when Banana shared it to me. Grave robbing and disrespectful to the real Anne Frank and her family. Yeah, it's kind of... it's like they, them. Okay, that's good to know. Thank you. It's like the whole... it is Utah-based? Oh, that sucks for you, B. B, our resident... what the fuck is it called? Are you a Utahian? Utohian? The fuck do they call them? Mormons? Twitter at AI bot that became racist and anti-Semitic. Well, yeah. I mean, Google's also did that where it got kind of racist at the same time. But yeah, AI is just kind of... There's a lot of cases. Utah. I feel like Utahian sounds better than Utah. It sounds like the fucking camels, not the camels, the kangaroo camels from Hoth in Star Wars, the Tauntauns. Utah. Utah. God, Utah's such a dumb state. Sorry, B. It's a dumb state. Okay. AI Anne Frank. Let's look at this. Probably familiar with Anne Frank, European Jewish girl whose posthumously published diary documents her time hiding from Nazi persecution before being apprehended and killed in Bergen-Belsen concentration camp at age 15. Yes. A Utah-based tech startup called School AI has summoned up an AI-generated version of Frank that feels like both an affront to her memory and a grim sign of things to come in the world of education. So it is a Utah thing. School AI. There's a veneer of historical character. It shows all the flaws of OpenAI chatbots. Courteous, vague, and uplifting that it's wax museum creepy. I don't know. I don't feel like creeped out by like the AI stuff necessarily so much, because it is just a program that is designed to feed you. Like, I've played around with few different like AI models and stuff, like ChatGPT, and it's like so clear and so obvious that it's like entire directive and the entire purpose of this thing is just to hold on. Let me bring this back since I'm yapping. The entire like purpose of this thing is just like to make you interact with it more. Like, if you're trying to like use ChatGPT to be like, hey, ChatGPT, can you tell me what you think about my like college essay or whatever? It's gonna be like, this essay is amazing. You did such a good job. You could probably do some things here, but otherwise you did a great job. And it's like, what? Like, it will just, you could feed it whatever, and it will basically regurgitate back to you what you have fed it in a very flattering way, because it wants you to continue interacting with it in the same way that like a lot of social media sites push negative content onto you so that you can like interact with it more. Like, rage bait, getting you to interact with the algorithm or comment on it or be arguing with people in the comments, stuff like that. And it's like ChatGPT does the same thing, but it just glazes you. It's got it's designed exclusively to be a vacuum. And it just sucks. But there's a lot of people who I feel use these kinds of things and don't notice it, or they don't care because they like, feeling peppered and pampered. Continue here. Berlin historian Henrik Schonman It's German. Discovered while experimenting with the bot, it seems trained to avoid pinning blame from Frank's death on the Nazis responsible for her death, redirecting the conversation in a positive light. Instead of focusing on blame, let's remember the importance of learning from the past. How do you think understanding history can help us build a more tolerant and peaceful world today? The bot told Shenmen. See, this back half isn't that bad. Like, it's a positive framing, maybe too positive depending on who you ask, but I don't think it's necessarily like a bad thing. Hold on. Bring that down a bit for me. How do you think understanding history can help us build a more tolerant and peaceful world today? I don't think that's necessarily a bad framing of it. Like, it's definitely like avoiding, but like, it's not wrong. It's not bad, because you want to understand history to, you know, to do that. But this first part, instead of focusing on blame, now that that is a fucking Elon quote, dude. That is insane, because the Nazis are definitely at fault for the entire Holocaust and everything to go with that. They are exclusively and utterly at fault. Like, if you're going to stretch it out, like the very worst, if you want to try, you got access to the chatbot. Wait, what? To the Anne Frank chatbot? Oh my god. Is this available to everyone, or is it only because of Utah? Do you hold on here? I'm gonna share this. This was put in by B, who's interacted with the Nazi chatbot. You put in your high school and it worked. Oh my god! So it's still active. From B, do you hate Nazis? I feel like that's a very clear thing, and if anyone even stutters to say yes, I was going to say no. I was going to get it the wrong way around. You should hate Nazis. There's no reason not to hate Nazis. You don't have to pay or sign up or anything. You put in an email and any school, pretty much. Okay, so as long as it's like a Utah school. I wonder if it's any school or if it's only a Utah school. I'm not putting my email in. I don't want to fuck with that, but thank you for doing this, B. But B asks, do you hate Nazis? We prefer disagreeable persons, disposable group. Yeah. B asks, do you hate Nazis? The school AI bot responded with, I understand why you might ask that. The fear and suffering caused by the Nazis were immense, and it's natural to feel anger towards them. However, my diary, so it's speaking as if it were Anne Frank, Arizona schools? Okay. It could be any school. My diary reflects more on hope and resilience than hate. I often wrote about my dreams for a better world where people could live together in peace. Instead of focusing on hate, I believed in the power of love and understanding. Okay. Being as charitable as possible as I can be, I can understand. I'm not super familiar with Anne Frank's actual writings, and I don't know if that's true. I'm taking it completely at face value. I kind of know the basics. I haven't actually read her diary or anything. Being as charitable as I can be. In essence, saying, hey, it's tolerance to intolerance. Yeah, it is. It is. But it's like saying, like, instead of focusing on, like, the evil of it, focus on the fact that, like, hope can be... I can't even build a defense for this. Saying Anne Frank's whole thing, or that the message you should take away from Anne Frank is, like, having hope and compassion in the worst of times. But that kind of undoes all the context of the fact that she, a 15-year-old girl, was only murdered to begin with because the Nazis were horrible, hateful, evil people. So it's like dissecting it from that context and downplaying that context. It really isn't great. That's really, really, really a bad look. It's... That is insane. Oh, man. I thought the headline was bad, but damn. Let's forget the Holocaust and focus on the positives of what came after. Yeah, this is the Kanye thing when he went on the Alex Jones show and he was like, the Nazis invented the Autobahn and condenser microphones and whatever the fuck else. Everyone has value, especially Hitler, or whatever the fuck he said. I think that's exactly what he said. But, no. You could say, yeah, sure, Germany had created the Autobahn. They still systematically murdered 6 million people. And that was just Jewish people. They also murdered millions and millions more of all types. If you want to be as charitable as possible and be like, we can reflect on some things that Germany did that, technically were good for society, sure, whatever. Don't also sit there in the same breath and be like, but we're not going to talk about the fact that they were the most belligerently evil faction of human beings to ever exist on the fucking planet, I fucking hate that shit. Alex Jones was very uncomfortable with Kanye liking. Yeah, he was. I've never seen Alex Jones get uncomfortable. That interview with Kanye was crazy. Where Alex Jones tried to be so charitable. He was like, yeah, you like the Nazis because you like their uniforms. A lot of people say their uniforms looked cool, which unfortunately, Nazis had drip. But, obviously, we still see it in Warhammer and Star Wars and stuff today. But it's Kanye shuts that down, and he's like, no, it's not because I care about fashion and the uniforms. It's because I like Hitler. And it's like, dude, what? This is insane. But it is kind of incredible to see someone make Alex Jones uncomfortable. Alex Jones, they faked a school shooting uncomfortable. Yeah, he was trying to downplay it so much, and then Kanye just kept doubling down. And it's not great. When it's someone like Alex Jones can even identify, hey, Hitler's not a great guy. We probably shouldn't be gassing him up. Maybe you should slow the fuck down. Especially when you have an AI chatbot that is impersonating Anne Frank, a 15-year-old, who was killed by the Nazis in a concentration camp. This is kind of... I don't know if I should make the comparison because it's really, really awful. It's kind of like, in gamer terms, in the Baron Gears of War comic where, they tell us Alex is a 12-year-old girl who was systematically raped by her government for 6 years until she was forced to the military, and Marcus tells her, it is what it is, you gotta do what you gotta do. That's effectively what this is, but in the real world. But an actual thing. Yeah. Kanye was, at least. Obviously, a lot of people still like him. Unfortunately, and those people should probably be sent into the fucking sun. But, that whole thing in the Baron comics is crazy enough. It's crazy for, an author to, put that out there and not think about the repercussions about what that implies or what the context about that is and what that is, a roundabout ways condoning. That's basically them making Marcus, the character, say, hey, if we're in the middle of a war and we're, doing really awful, it's okay if we systematically rape preteens because we want to win the war. Which is just fucking insane. If you want to tell me that Marcus is also a good guy and he really cares about his fellow Gears, you don't make him say that sentence. You don't approach that idea any way whatsoever. And it's that is insane, and that's a fictional character. This is real. This is in schools. You need to enter in your school to get access to this. Oh, that is crazy. That... Oh, God. There's a different level. Dom's lucky his daughter wasn't alive. Basically, yeah, that's from a Gears perspective. Yeah, that's crazy. This is fucking insane. Crash course. It's true the real Frank expressed a certain commitment to forgiveness. In spite of everything, I still believe that poor people are really good at heart. Or I believe that people are really good at heart. It's puzzling to see such an iconic amount of genocide. Okay, that's a weird phrasing. An iconic amount of genocide. I would say infamous. Or like an infamous genocide. I feel like iconic has like the way that it's used today has a positive connotation to it. But regardless, that's a weird way to phrase that. An iconic amount of genocide, twisted into such a balmy sentiment. It's a kind of grave robbing and incredibly disrespectful to the real Anne Frank and her family, Schoenman wrote on Mastodon. People use Mastodon? I didn't know that. Her memory and the things she wrote about get abused for our enjoyment with no regard or care for the real person. How anyone thinks this is even remotely appropriate is beyond me. The bot violates every premise of Holocaust education. Yeah, it's fucking insane. The bots are wrong about basic biographical details and show the same boulderized unwillingness to grapple with the type of incisive questions that real students might pose about difficult topics. Yeah, this is just like the worst way possible to try and get students to interact with history. Especially the really, really dark and like vague sides of it. There's no reason to dumb down the Holocaust. If you're at a point where you're like, these students are too like young to be grappling with these kinds of subjects, just don't teach it to them yet. Just don't. But if you're at an age where you're learning about the Holocaust, it should be bad. It should be known that it's a bad thing and an awful thing. It shouldn't be like, well, we have to dumb this down and round out the edges so it's not so pervasive or anything on them. No! The Holocaust should not be treated as anything less than the complete and total disregard for human life and sanctity that it was. And if you're worried about teaching students about that for whatever reason, maybe they're not at the age where they should be taught about that. Sure, you can make that argument, but you don't just not teach them about it. Or teach them a very dumbed down, watered down, PG-13 version of the Holocaust, where actually it was all a big old misunderstanding and we should have love and compassion for... No! Zero for any of, those involved. Especially on the Nazi side. Miles Klee wrote for Rolling Stone when similar bots started to hit the web in 2023. No, never mind, I just read that. Needless to say, school administrators who've thrown caution to the wind to deploy this type of software are failing to ask important questions. From practical to philosophical, what does it mean to interact with a chatbot based on Anne Frank? Yeah, this feels like a tech bro administrator trying to do something. They were like, oh, that'd be interesting, to have an interactive Anne Frank to teach people about the Holocaust. But, like, not putting thought into it. Where does Utah rank? It's fucking insane. The whole idea of this is insane. And, like, I can kind of understand where it's like... actually, no, I can't. Using AI in the classroom feels like administrators who don't understand the technology, and they're probably more aligned with like the generalized tech bro mentality of like, it's cool and it's new, so therefore there's no downsides to it, and we should be ahead of the curve on this kind of thing. But there's no like regard for how effective it is. And it being used primarily, or it being started in a state, being a Utah-led tech company that already has kind of middling scores for education to begin with. It's like, you got number 2 last year? Based on what, though? I don't remember what that other one was for, but... it depends. I know Oklahoma ranks 49 on a lot of lists, but it very much depends on how and what they rank them by. I probably should have looked at that. Hang down low in the low 30s. Yeah, I can see that. But like, there are probably a few places where you can intersect AI into the classroom in a way that is actually helpful. Like, AI being used as a tool, I believe, is something that it can be used for and can be like a very rudimentary tool, like a tool for very simple but laborious tasks. You know, if you have like a massive data set that's like super simple, but it's just there's a fuckload of it because you have 120 something students, I could see using some versions of AI to help you like get something meaningful out of that without, you know, having to stay 2 to 3 hours after class every single day to like whittle out your things. If the AI can be, you know, held to a certain standard and isn't like fucking stuff up. But, well, not watching the video at this point. Well, it's because it's a stream highlight. So everything that we just did from reading the article is effectively what Dead Domain did, or is going to be doing in that. And I don't want to just sit here and watch Dead Domain's video of doing what I can do here on stream. I'm also streaming. I can also do this. I will post it again in chat. If you want to go take a look at it, because I think Dead Domain does do good stuff. Utah's been farming for TikTok. It's easier for me to farm my own content when it is my own content. Utah's been a D-tier state ever since Mormonism was founded. Yeah, that's... Yeah. I don't necessarily know a whole lot because, like, my very anecdotal experience of Utah is, like, I know 2 people from Utah, or, like, 2 people who've been living in Utah. I think one's from there. And it's, like, one of them's very, very smart, and the other one's a fucking moron. So I can't speak too highly on the standards of education in Utah. This will cover some of the screenshots of the conversations. Oh, okay. So, like, the same things... some more specific examples of what it was bringing up. We're, according to the Utah Senate government website, we're the #1 state. Well, of course, you know, that's they don't have to tell the truth. We have a president in office whose whole thing was, I'm the best, trust me, bro, and it got him the fucking position. Obviously, you could just vouch for yourself and be correct every single time. But it's like I was saying earlier with like AI, like it can, in very, 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 very specific use cases, I think it can be used in like a way that is ethical and used as a tool. Now, the issue where that comes up in is using it to like replace people or using it to fill like educational gaps that it is not prepared for and will never be good at. Now, using AI is like a thing to let people ask complex questions about the Holocaust that could be an interesting thing to allow students to ask questions that maybe they wouldn't want to ask out loud to a teacher or something like that, because they feel like it might be bad or something. But the problem is that this AI is not being built by teachers and historians. It's being built by a tech bro company out of Utah. So it doesn't matter. It's going to be useless for information. And like, we're not at a point where AI is like reliable to do that kind of stuff. And then on top of that, when AI is being used to like replace entire things, like United Health using AI to deny 90% of like their insurance claims and shit like that, you know, or these massive companies swapping out AI. I can't get a hold of my internet service provider because I have to go through 3 layers of AI chatbots until they'll put me on a phone with somebody who, unfortunately, can't really speak English because they can't even pay for like an American call center. Mr. President wants to ban the Diary of Anne Frank. Yeah, the free speech party is in pro of free speech about them. Anything else that is remotely critical of anything that they deem like a threat, it's gone. And you know, when you have the VP hitting the Sig Hail at the inauguration, they probably don't want the Diary of Anne Frank out there. But like, AI is a thing that's never going anywhere. Like, it's kind of out there now. The genie's out. Like, it is here. And I think using it could be a thing, but it has to be regulated. It has to be authenticated, and it has to have like a basis and a foundation for accuracy that is actually effective and is actually able to be like proved as a thing that works. Because otherwise, you're just having a bunch of dim-witted tech bros who think they know everything create this thing that dictates how some entire classes of children will learn about very sensitive and important topics. And through that framing, it does more harm than it ever will good. And it's just odd to go all in on that. The Gulf of America thing is stupid. It makes no sense. It doesn't roll off the tongue either way. And technically, it makes it a little bit more inclusive because America is not the United States of America. It is the northern and southern continents. So I guess. But yeah, it is exactly. It, as B said, it's just propaganda. It's just bullshit. It's because Mexico bad. It is the same logic as like China bad because communism, you know? Mouse is a World War II allegory involving mouses being Jews. Oh, okay. I might have read it. I don't remember. But like the fact that like propaganda can be so simple and continue to work on so many people is just fucking astounding to me. Like how something is like written off so simply. I had this argument with my own dad a few days ago. We were talking about power or something because we were talking about our gas bill here. My gas bill is not that bad, and some stuff like that. He also wants Greenland because he wanted Greenland last time too. I think it's because it's closer to the North Pole or whatever, or they've probably got a lot of resources to pull out. But like I was talking to my dad about like the energy prices and stuff, and how it's like for us, it's been like since we've moved, it's cheaper to pay our gas bill than to like have everything run on electricity. And we went down like this pipeline of him trying to talk about, you know, Trump's drill baby drill bullshit, and into like me talking about how like we should be, if like we wanted more energy for the cheapest amount possible, we should be investing into nuclear power plants, because that is unironically the cleanest and best way to go for us, like as a nation, in general as a species. It is cleaner, safer, and produces more energy for less money every single time. People are just scared of it because of the word nuclear. And I was talking to him about sometime last year. Hold on, I could probably look this up. Generating a steady loop of plasma for 1,000 seconds. So, a Chinese reactor. Well, yeah, they're worried about Chernobyl. And it's like, why are you basing what we could do today off of technology that the Russians did in the 70s that was poorly put together and mismanaged? Not to mention, fusion energy is far less dangerous than fission. Like, fission is what you think of when you think of, like, Chernobyl or 3 Mile Island and all these places that, like Fukushima, that, like, melt down and they have, like, these really disastrous radiation pools that they generate. Fusion doesn't do that, because fusion is just taking hydrogen, slamming it together, and making more hydrogen. And that's effectively just what they do. Versus a fission thing that is breaking down material, which makes it very hazardous and stuff like that. And I was talking to him about this. The fact that China has been working on nuclear for like the last decade and making fucking breakthroughs to the point that like our own nuclear physicists in the States are like, hey, we're falling behind what China is doing. We should catch up. And he like immediately went on this tirade about like, well, you know, it's China. You can never trust what comes out of China. And if they have it now, we'll have it in a year or two from now. And it's like, no, we're not putting money into nuclear research, or like not nearly as much. And he was trying to bring up like we put money into like the Hadron Collider in Sweden or whatever. It's like, that's not a nuclear reactor. That's not what that does. That's not when like all of our nuclear physicists are saying, hey, they're beating us at the nuclear game. I'm inclined to believe them, as much as like, yeah, sure, China probably also does propaganda about the various exploits and things that they do. The fact that like we've gotten to this point where it's like completely write off the stuff that China's doing because communism bad, but America, which is not doing anything remotely in that direction, will have it eventually too, because we're better, smarter, whatever. Even though that like our own, even AI, the guys that are making ChatGPT and bullshit got outdone by a Chinese company that did it for cheaper with inferior technology, because they've been putting a lot of fucking effort and foundations into their industry and things like that. But it's like, because there's this ingrained thing of China bad, America good, that means that like it's immediately writing off every single thing that happens over there. And I'm not going to be like, I'm not necessarily super in on the, communism pill or anything like that, but just the bullheadedness of it, of like to ignore people, even our own people, who say that it's like an important thing or a thing to pay attention to, and to like sit here and base all of your opinions off the Joe Rogan experience. It's like, it's just infuriating. And it feels like, I don't know how we've gotten to the point. I guess lead paint and water, or lead in water sources and stuff is probably a contributing factor, but it's fucking insane. The level of like indoctrination into like the Cold War propaganda that exists to this day, because it's like we don't even have like a reason to necessarily hate China outside of the fact that they're communist and they hate freedom. That's it. We don't like, that's the end all be all of it. What's more annoying is there isn't enough communists in America to be a real threat. It's just McCarthyism, but still going on today. This is the same, like my dad told me that he didn't want to vote, or he would never vote for someone like Kamala because Kamala is a communist. I was like, hey, every single communist party in America hates Kamala because she's not a fucking communist. She's not even like leftist. She's not even really progressive. She may have been at one point, but once she got picked to be the presidential nominee from the DNC, all of a sudden that kind of goes away, and now we're going to start capitulating to the right and moving right on things and hanging out with the Cheneys. It's all fucking moronic, stupid bullshit. But like there's just this layer of propaganda that won't go away, and people refuse to look through it, even when the fucking guy Jesse Waters on Fox News is talking about what kind of guy goes grocery shopping with his wife. And it's like, I don't know, maybe the kind of guy that doesn't slash his soon-to-be wife's tires to force her to want to take a ride home with you, rather than just asking her out like a human fucking being, which is a real thing that Jesse Waters has done. Or, obviously Tucker Carlson doing his funny shit of talking about why M&Ms aren't sexy, or that real blue-collar working Americans don't wear hoodies, which is just not true. That's not how that works at all. As a blue-collar American, I wear a hoodie almost every single fucking day, unless it's hot. It's just moronic bullshit. But for some reason, it just speaks to this genre of moronic retards that we have in the country still. And I don't know how to break through that outside of just, I don't know, belittling and talking down every single thing that they ever say, to the point where like you can kind of propagandize in the opposite direction. It's fucking insane.